I'm Chef Alex Reethof, bringing you back to the table where we make fine dining into fun dining in your home. Today's menu is fantastic. We've got a crab cake wrapped with Chilean sea bass, topped with a chipotle lime crema, and we've got a very, very unique Mexican street corn. And we're gonna finish it with an Italian classic tiramisu with Kahlua, masala, mascarpone cheese, and ladyfingers. You don't wanna miss it. Stay with us. All right, here we are doing Mexican street corn. And this is a fantastic dish that's just simple and simple as can be. But what we have to do is we start with fresh corn on the ear. We're gonna use some garlic, some red jalapenos, because they add some great color and the heat we're looking for. We're gonna use a Mexican crumbling cheese called Fresco. We're gonna have shallots and some cilantro. We also have some salt and pepper to add to it. And then I have a little mystery ingredient we're gonna throw in the end. I'll tell you when we get there. So first we're gonna start with fresh corn. And we roasted some of this corn. It's gonna look like this when we get to the end, but I'm gonna show you how it's done. One thing that I love to show about corn is when we have the whole ear here, everybody sees that they have little silk on the corn. Well, there's one strand of silk for every single piece or corn kernel on this corn. See all this? That represents one piece or one kernel. So here we have our corn. If you have a little silk left on it, no big deal. We're gonna go put it right on the burner. And it's gonna start snapping and crackling and popping just like we have Rice Krispies here. All right, so I'm gonna clean that up just a minute while that gets going. And we're gonna move on to getting a little bit of garlic ready. So I'm gonna take some garlic, just smash it on its side. Oh, can you hear that corn? That's great. We're gonna smash this garlic because you have a little garlic for this thing. And Mexican street corn is used as a corn that is sold on the streets of Mexico. And oftentimes it's sold in small ears with skewers in it. And then they make this great sauce with cheese and the red jalapeno and some shallots. And they'll sell it to you right on the street and you just kind of walk around nibbling on it. And it's absolutely delightful. We're gonna do a little bit more of a gourmet version of this. We're gonna get that right over here. We're gonna cut some shallots. What I do with the shallot is I cut the top off and I cut the other end, pull all this off, and then I'm ready to actually use the rest of it. I'm gonna take that one outer layer of paper off and we'll start cutting this. Can you hear it snap, crackle, popping? So, I've got a shallot. I'm just gonna make this nice long juliennes. You can see how we do this nice and easy. Try to keep your fingers out of the way. It's always a good thing. The nice thing about these shallots is they have lines on it like graph paper. Just follow it right along and we'll have it going. Now, whoa, we're looking for some good dark kernels. You can see them, they're popping on us. They're actually cooking a little bit. And that's what we're looking for in that dark kernel. We're actually getting some caramelization going on, and that brings out the sweetness of that corn. The nice thing about this is that we're not cooking it in water, so we're actually concentrating flavors in the corn itself. So we're gonna take some of this. We're gonna get the rest of this cut up, and I'm gonna move right on to some red jalapenos. And all I'm gonna do is take the top off. These are beautiful color, by the way. And I'm gonna cut them in half, and I'm gonna pull the seeds out, because we don't really need those seeds. They're extra hot. And boy, these are beautiful. You can buy these at Buford Highway Farmers Market in Atlanta. That's where I get them. And we're just gonna turn these over and do a nice little fine chop. This is gonna add great color to what we're doing. There we go. Oh yeah, sounds like the 4th of July over here, doesn't it? I'll get this all done. and we can move on to get this whole piece going. I've got a little bit of butter to saute this corn in, and you'll see what we're going to do in just a second here, where we're coming right back to it. So how about this corn? So looking good, and you can let it go. I mean, it's really kind of amazing. If you get it a little dark like that, that's just fine. So we're going to take the corn that I did a little bit earlier, and we're going to take it and put it in a bowl. We're going to go ahead and cut it off the cob. Get it down as close as you can without taking too much of that cob off. We need as much of this corn as we can get off. You don't want to waste a thing. So from the Mexican street side of things, what they would do normally is they would take the cob like this. Oh, I'll take another one. They would take it and cut it in 3. And then they would put skewers in this and they would roll it around in what we're about to make. So it's really beautiful. All right, so let's get this corn off. We're going to put it in a saute pan to do it our way. And you can see that corn just juice right up. It's a perfect time of year for corn, summer. And that allows that corn to be really sweet. I better take a look at what I got going here. Let me come back to that. Oh yeah, look at that great color. And that dark brown to almost blackish is great, great char flavor, and it adds greatly to the flavor of this. Okay, great depth. So I'm going to come back here and do a little bit more of this corn. Isn't this easy? All right, there we go. Got one more here. Got to have enough to get around. Good sharp knife always helps. So this cheese that we're going to use, this queso fresco, is a really nice kind of crumbling cheese. And it's great to use in addition to a quesadilla cheese if you want to make something just a little bit more crumbly, almost like a feta cheese-like. Here we go. All right, so I got some great corn going on here. I'm going to save these for later. Don't they look lovely? Right there. Now I'm going to get a pan on. We're going to get him going. We're going to get a little butter in this. Just a little butter. This one. We'll get it going and we'll start sauteing all of our things. Get it all rolling, and we'll, I got to get a little cilantro as well for this. So we get our butter going. I'm going to add my corn. Even if you have big chunks in here, that's just fine. There we go. All right. Doesn't that look great? It's got a great lively colors. I'm going to add my shallots. I'm going to add the jalapeno, the red jalapeno. It goes in, my garlic goes in. Good. Looking great here. Now I got to take a little cilantro. We're going to let this saute a good bit. I'm going to take some cilantro, just pull it off. We're going to curl this under and do a nice coarse chop on this. Just going to do a little fan out with this. Yes. Okay. I got to tell you, this recipe is one that I got from a great chef here in Atlanta, Michael Bottozzi, good friend. Worked with him several times. Really, really great guy and a great chef at the same time. So let's take this cheese. Let's see if we can't open this up and get some crumbling going on. All right, so here we go. Got some great cheese. Going to go ahead and take about half of this, and you can see it crumbles really nicely. So we're just going to crumble it up, put it in a bowl, get ready to toss in when we're ready there. Oh, this looks great. Doesn't it look like feta cheese? But actually much, much milder. All right, so then we're going to take this, just keep this stirring a little bit. Let it saute down. Yeah, you can hear that sizzle. can always use the end of the pan just to give it a little flip, and that way you keep your pan right on the burner and you don't leave the burner. So I got some nice color to it. Let's go ahead and add some cilantro. Kind of looks like Christmas now, doesn't it? All right, let's give this a good stir. Oh yeah, that looks lovely. Okay, now break it up just a little bit. Got some good sizzle on that, a browning of the corn. You got some butter and corn. How could that be any bad? I mean, that could just be awesome. All right, I've got a little bit of cheese here. The cheese goes in. I'm actually going to give it a little bit more cheese. We're going to put this cheese in. I'm going to crumble it right up inside there. We'll stir this. Bring it all together. Doesn't this already look festive? They call it Mexican street corn. Corn sold on the street, but we're going to actually make it available, make it easy for you to eat, not on the corn cob. It'll be in a nice little side dish. So whatever you're looking for. Great for the summer, spring, and fall. Whenever that corn is in season. Here we go. Hear that good sizzle? And that cheese will just melt slightly, ever so slightly. Won't really stick to your pan. It'll just get hot, melt, and just blend in with the corn, the red jalapenos, the cilantro. You can see the shallots showing up. I love working with shallots. They turn so sweet when we're working with them, sauteing them. They don't do well when you eat them raw, though. That doesn't work real well at all. Got some garlic in this. Now, we're going to finish this with the burner turned off. You got to turn this burner off for this little piece. I'm actually going to take some mayonnaise. We're going to add some mayonnaise right in the end. And this will add that creaminess that we're looking for. And this is what they use for Mexican street corn. And here we go. Just turn that in. And you have to do this with the burner off. Look at that, just melt right in. Look at that, it just turns into instant cream. Is that amazing? Oh yeah, look at that. All stirred up, blended in just a little bit. I think we've got about a quarter cup of mayo for all these ears of corn. Just a little bit is all it takes to add all that cream to it. If you have that burner going, you'll actually break the mayonnaise and it'll turn into a big runny piece in here. And you'll have a separation of egg yolks and oil. All right, so let's plate this up. I've got a bowl right here. Oh yeah, we're just gonna take this and roll it right in. And we have Mexican street corn that will please the whole family. Here we are. We'll take that red jalapeno, put them right up on the side. A little bit of cilantro, do a garnish. And there we got a lovely side dish of Mexican street corn. Stay with us and we'll be right back. We're making a classic Italian dessert, tiramisu. All right, now this tiramisu has a lot of history to it, and I'll share some of that with you as we go through the recipe. But I first want to start by telling you what's in tiramisu. And basically, it's a dessert lasagna. We start out with classic ladyfingers from Italy, and I've got a whole stack of them right here that we'll be using to assemble. And that's like our lasagna layers. And then we're going to go with some heavy cream, some mascarpone cheese, which is a sweet kind of cream cheese. We'll be mixing that together with some espresso, very, very strong espresso. And with that espresso, we're going to add some Kahlua. That's all part of that pick-me-up. Got some strong caffeine going on. We're gonna take some eggs, which is a binder, with sugar and chocolate, and we're gonna use a little masala wine. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a bowl and we're gonna take some egg yolks in it, and we're gonna denature them just a little bit by getting them a little bit hot. So I got a pot of water on, and I'm gonna take my eggs, and I'm gonna simply pull off the yolks. By the way, this is the old classic method right here, where we're just gonna take the yolks, hit it on the side. We're gonna dump these right into my hand, let the whites slip through my fingers, and then all I have is the yolk. If I can do it right, I'll do 4 of these. That'll make a nice richness to this. All right, there we go. There we are. And I'll just set this aside because we won't need that anymore. There we go. All right, so I've got this, and I'm gonna take this and put it on a little bit of heat right there. And all I'm gonna do is stir that in a little bit. Just stir it up. I'm gonna add some sugar to it. Give it some great sweetness, good depth. I'm gonna stir that up. We're just gonna let that heat up just a little bit. We don't want it to cook much. We just wanna change out, just to nature it a little bit so it gets up to about 120, 130 degrees. And I'm gonna add a little bit of masala to it. And this is a great cooking wine as well. It's got a good high alcohol content. I'm gonna give it about a 1/4 cup, and that's just what we're gonna need for this. I'll set this aside. All right, in the meantime, I gotta make a whipped cream. So I'm gonna take, well, let me give this a little stir, get it going. So I'm gonna make a whipped cream using some heavy, heavy whipping cream. And this is a 40% heavy whipping cream. It's a lovely, lovely whipping cream, okay? It whips really well because it's got a very, very high fat content in it. I'll put about a cup. Here we go. And I'll add a little sugar to that because that actually helps stabilize. There we go. And I'm just gonna start stirring this around, and we'll go ahead and make that cream. All right, so then I have a mascarpone cheese. This is a sweet cream cheese. And I'm gonna add that, put that in a bowl, and we're gonna add that egg yolk mixture to it, and that'll make a really nice layer. It's almost like in a lasagna, it would be like our ricotta cheese layer. So, here we go. We're getting a good little whisk on this. You can see it's already starting to swirl marks, and you gotta watch so you don't splash it all over yourself. All right, so where did tiramisu start? Tiramisu was one of those things that started a long, long, long time ago. Okay, it's actually called a pick-me-up dessert. And the whole point of the pick-me-up is a late night kind of thing where, you know, the guys would like to have a little dessert with a little bit of alcohol in it because they've had a little alcohol, and it's also got a lot of caffeine in it. So it was originally made by ladies for their men so that they could send them home with a good lift and ready to roll. Kind of an interesting history, huh? Long, long time. So I also need to make my coffee mixture. So as you can see, I'm making all different kinds of things to put on the layers, and nice and strong. I used this Buscatello, Cafe Buscatello Espresso. I'll put a little more in there. Make it good and strong. To that, I will add some Kahlua and some sugar as well. Oh yeah. Can you ever put too much Kahlua on anything? I don't know. But I'm gonna add a little sugar to that. Also makes for a great little, we gotta have every part of this just a little bit sweet, don't we? All right, back to our whipped cream. We're gonna stir this up a little bit more. I gotta get a little bit more out of that, a little bit more froth. All right, here we go. So, I'm looking for a little bit more whip in this. Why don't I just do a little change? This has got a few more blades in it. There we go. And you know, you don't really need those beaters. Just get a few, you know, about 2 or 3 minutes like this, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a little bit of whipped cream, and that's all we're looking for. Then we're gonna fold the rest of this together. There we go. See the swirl marks in this? That's what we're looking for. Nice little swirl marks from the blade of the whisk. And you can whip this too much and you actually create butter. sweet cream butter. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to go into mascarpone cheese. Isn't that beautiful? It almost looks like cream cheese, but it's got a nice, sweet, delicate flavor. And then I'm going to put in one more because you got to have plenty of the mascarpone cheese mixture. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to add my eggs to this, which are already done. They're already denatured. It's going to make a nice little, yep, here we go. Let me get this swirling around, get it all incorporated. Yeah, so you got some good sweetness. You got the eggs for the richness. You got that little cheese mixture all blending in with some whipped cream. All right, so what we have is we've got coffee, a coffee mixture with some sweetness to it. And then we have this layered cream. We got the lady fingers. I mean, how can you go wrong with any of this, huh? It's all a great thing here. So here we go. We got what we're looking for. We got a consistency we're looking for. And then I've got chocolate. So let me show you what we're going to do next. We're going to take my bowl right here, and we're going to start creating our layers. First, I'm going to start with a little bit of cheese mixture on the bottom, and then we move on to chocolate. It's like, you know, chocolate is one of those things you just got to have good chocolate, okay? And this is a 72% cocoa chocolate. It's a beautiful chocolate from Europe, okay? One of those great things we just got to have around the house, because when you need a chocolate fix, you need a chocolate fix. So we're going to take this, some chunks in here in our cheese grater. We're just going to go ahead and grind it all up and let it fall right on top. Isn't that a great way to do it? Really simple, really easy. Something you can do very easily at home. All right, so I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to come back to this. Now I'm going to take our lady fingers. I'm going to lay them right across. And the key to this is then to take some of our coffee mixture with the sugar in it, the Kahlua in it, good dark coffee. We're just going to ladle that right on top of these lady fingers and let them soak it in. Now this is one of these things that you want to have it let it rest for, you know, a good 2-3 hours. I'm going to go in again with a little another layer. And you can see it's going to build up real nicely in this bowl. We're going to go again with chocolate. Oh yeah. Can you ever put too much chocolate in anything? I haven't. So just run that around, give it a little pat, get enough chocolate all around it, and I'm going to be ready for a couple more squares here in a second. Then I go back again for a few more of these lady fingers, and I'm going to crisscross them this time going the other direction. As you can see, it's really pretty simple to do. If it was difficult, I couldn't do it. And the ladies that were working this definitely were ones that didn't spend a lot of time cooking. Here we go. Doesn't that look great? All right, one more layer of cream. I think I got enough to go around one more time, don't I? Oh, looking good. You see where we're going with this? Just building it right on up. Oh, I need a little bit more. Oh, got a few things on my chocolate there. Here we go. Chocolate it is. Who would have thought a cheese grater was going to be so handy? Oh yeah, let's get that chocolate on there. All right, one more layer. Are we up for that? Let's go down here. I'm gonna put one here. As you can see, as we start spreading out in this bowl, we're gonna need a little extra. And there we go. Oh yeah. By the way, if you got any of this left over, just take a shot of this. It'll wake you up. There we go. Yeah, it soaks it right up. And that's the beautiful thing about letting this sit for a little while, because then the cream and all of these meld in together. Oh yeah, here's this cream. Good rich cream with some egg yolks in it. And look at that. We're going to get it all just right. Spread it out and top it with chocolate. Big old chunks of chocolate. You can take chocolate and shave it with a vegetable peeler if you wanted to. Oh yeah, and you can put a big heavy layer on top. All right, so I want you to repeat this layer after layer to get the desired height and maybe width that you're looking for if you want to do this in a rectangular pan as well. And then we refrigerate this for an hour. And after an hour, we have this fantastic tiramisu that is set. It's full of flavors, and it's sweet and syrupy, and it's got caffeine in it, Kahlua, marsala, and it's just a delightful light dessert that you can have just about any time. So when we come back, I've got a great Chilean sea bass wrapped crab cake with a chipotle lime crema. You don't want to miss this one. Stay with us. All right, it's time for a little seafood. Today we're going to take a little bit of sea bass and we're going to wrap a crab cake and we're going to top it with this great chipotle Mexican lime crema. And we're going to garnish it with a little bit of seaweed, Asian style. So let's get started. You got to start with great products. And so if you start with really good, high quality products that are really fresh, guess what? Your product will stay really premium. So we're going to start with some great crab meat. So you start with crab meat, and I get it fresh from the market, from Beaufort Highway Farmers Market. And the way I check crab meat, and you should do this too, is open up the lid gently, flip it over, and just take a look at it and take a little smell. Oh, it smells like the ocean. That's what we're looking for. It's lovely, it's glistening, it's got great chunks of crab in there, and that's what we're looking for. So that's exactly what we need for our crab meat. But before we add the crab meat, we need to make a little bit of a binding solution. So what we have is I have crushed up oyster crackers, and that goes into our bowl. Got crushed up oyster crackers. I'm going to take 2 eggs. We're going to crack them right in. And then I'm going to take some heavy whipping cream. And that's going to help bind us all up. Okay, and I'm going to mix this all together. Take a little bit of salt, kosher salt. And we're going to use some white pepper because that way you can't see it. And I got it in a grinder here. We'll just give it a couple shakes of fresh ground white pepper. Oh, that's looking good. I like a little pepper. It's a good thing. And I'm going to take a little bit of parsley, and you'll see that drop right in. We're going to mix this all up and let it sit. I'm going to put a little bit of paprika. I'm going to save most of this for the top for a garnish to make it look real sharp. All right, so now we mix it in. Mix all that egg, the salt. It's very simple because I don't want to take away from that crab. The crab's got incredible flavor, and all we want to do is just make this kind of like a little pudding-like mixture, and that's all we're looking for. And then, while this sits for a minute or two, and you can see it's starting to thicken up already on us, and that's exactly what we're looking for, because those the oyster crackers are picking up the moisture and the egg and so forth from the cream. So then it'll make a nice little thick binding solution, and it looks really good too. So I'm going to set this aside just a minute, and I'm going to move on to the crab. So I've got this great crab. I'm going to just take it in my hand just like this, right over the bowl. I'm going to move this aside. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to crumble my fingers through this, looking for little pieces of shell, just in case there's some in there, and pull out any things that we don't feel are perfect, and let the rest just drop on into our mixture. So we're creating this great stuffing. This is also a crab cake. You can use this alone without what I'm about to do with it, with some sea bass, which adds a great look to it. So as I take all this and meld it in Ooh, this is good looking crab. I don't feel anything in this. This is real clean. Again, I get this fresh at Beaufort Highway Farmers Market. And you can see this is going to make a nice mixture. It's going to bind up real well, and it's going to hold up real well when we put it in the oven and we broil it at a really high temperature. We won't cook it for very long at all. I'm going to give it a hint more salt. And you can actually eat this right now on some toast. It'd be fantastic. The crab is already cooked, so you're not starting with an uncooked product. All right, now let's go to the sea bass. So I've got a nice big chunk of sea bass over here. All right, and I want to cut this on the long, flat side. So I'm going to make a nice long strip. So I'll take this sea bass and just make a nice little incision straight on down. And that will be for one of my wraps. It's almost like a piece of bacon. As you can see, this is where we're going to go with this. Nice, long pieces. They're kind of thin. And I'll show you how we're going to wrap these all up. I'm going to make 4 of them. You can actually make 6 or 8 out of this recipe if they're a little smaller portions. And I'm going to set this aside. All right, so now let's go back to our crab. I've got some skewers, 4-inch skewers right here, or 6-inch skewers. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take a little bit of the crab, you know, about a small little handful, just enough so that it fits all the way to the top. And we're going to wrap this around. And then I'm going to just put a little skewer through it. Watch this. We're going to lift it on up, and I'm going to put all that crab in it. So we're going to put a skewer through both of these. And we're going to lay it right on our pan. And that is ready to go right there. I'm going to take another one. We're going to do this a couple times. A little bit smaller amount. Put them right in. It's really, really simple, you guys. And I'm going to take this, fold it over just the top, put a skewer down through, all the way through, kind of keep that squished in there. And that skewer just holds it while we cook it. What do you think? Pretty simple? Pretty easy? We can do this. I know you can do this. So I'm taking this, skewer me. Now, this sea bass is really not part of the bass family, okay? Its actually real name is called Patagonian toothfish. Now, would you buy this if it was called a Patagonian toothfish? Doubtful. So somebody brilliant in marketing decided to call it sea bass when it's not even related to sea bass. But it seems to be an extremely high-selling fish. And the beautiful thing is, it's now a sustainable fish. Here we go. All right, so I've got this in my pan, and I'm ready to go with this. I'm going to take a little bit of my paprika, throw it on top. And I'm going to put this right into the broiler, just like that. We're going to put it into high broiler. You're going to see me put it in the oven. And we're going to let that go for just a couple minutes. So, I've got a little bit Mexican sour cream. I've got a little chipotle, jalapeno peppers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this lime. And all the flavor in this lime is in the skin, because that's where all the oil is. And that oil has all the great flavor. It's much more intense than the juice itself, even though I will use a little of the juice. So I'm going to take some of this, and it also adds great color to it. So you'll see me drop this right on in. Got a spoon in here to mix it up with, and I just try not to get any of the pith, because that's those things that actually creates the bitterness. So we're going to go strictly with the outermost layer. I'm going to cut this in half, and there's no seeds in lime, so let's just go ahead and squeeze it right on in. Okay, got a little lime in there. Set this aside, and then I'm going to go with a little salt. Do some balancing with the acid, with the salt. I'm going to add a little ground white pepper, although we're going to add a little bit of this chopped up chipotle, which is a smoked jalapeno in adobo sauce, which is absolutely delightful. It adds a little smokiness like it's been on the wood smoker. We're going to mix this up together, and it's going to give it a nice little orangey color. And you'll see this is a fantastic sauce, and you can use this on so many different things. It is so versatile. almost any seafood. Actually, this is a great substitute for a cocktail sauce. You could use it with shrimp, any other seafood, but I use it on lots of different things. I've actually used this on beef as well. So there we have our Mexican lime crema. Let me take a look at this fish and see how we're doing. Take a look, see how we're doing. It's under the broiler. Oh yeah. And how do I know it's doing real well? Because all I see here is it's sizzling. Let me bring this out. You can see how it's sizzling. Doesn't that look awesome? And the skewers are starting to brown, so I know that I got some good color, some heat through it. All I'm trying to do is heat this up just a little bit. The outside shell cooks quicker because that's uncooked fish, and the crab in the inside is just gonna bind up a little bit as it raises up the temperature. So all we're gonna do is plate this up with a little bit of Mexican lime crema. We're gonna put a little dab on the bottom on our plate. This is a great thing to do because when you actually have guests over, you can actually do this very, very easily. It doesn't take a lot of time. You put this right down on it, pull the skewer out, and watch, it stays put, doesn't move. And I'm gonna put a little dribble of the Mexican crema right down the side. I'm gonna finish it off just to add a little color to it with a little bit of Asian seaweed just to go right on top, and it's a great, have it falling down over. Okay, I'm just gonna have it fall down over. So to wrap all this up, I've also got our Mexican street corn. I want to take a little of this Mexican street corn, with that cheese, a little bit of mayo, and we're gonna put a little dab of this on our plate. I'm gonna take a little bit of lime, do a little wedge. You'll see that we're gonna have some fun with this, do a little garnish. So I'm gonna just make a little bit of a crown. Just do a slice straight down and one across, and here we go. We've got our Mexican street corn, our Seabass wrapped crab cake with our chipotle lime crema, and we can't forget our tiramisu. I got that tiramisu. It's been actually sitting in our cooler for a little over an hour, so it's looking awesome. I just want to plate a little of it up. I've got a little bowl right here. Let me see how we can do. Oh, it just cuts right down through. This is so lovely. We've got the Kahlua, we've got the espresso, we've got the different layers with chocolate on it. It's running a little bit. Oh, doesn't that look great? Oh, and those lady fingers have soaked it all up. Got a beautiful piece at the bottom. So here we have it. We've got Seabass wrapped crab cake with a chipotle Mexican lime crema, garnished with a little bit of Asian seaweed. We've got our Mexican street corn, and we've got this classic tiramisu from Italy that has got a great pick-me-up to it. I'm Chef Alex Reethof, bringing fine dining back to your table.